The woman knew that her daughter would accidentally fall to her death in 3 hours, but she did not stop it in time. Instead, she quietly waited for the tragedy to happen. Soon the teacher called. The woman immediately hung up the phone. Because the phone call couldn't go through, the teacher sent her a voice message. The message said that her daughter had had an accident. After listening to the voice message once, the woman blocked the teacher's phone number. The reason she did this was because she was a reincarnated person. In her previous life, she was accused by her husband and the teacher. They publicly accused her of not caring for her daughter, which led to her daughter not receiving maternal love and refusing to go home after school. Then the daughter had an accident. The woman wanted to defend herself, but the teacher had a video recorded by her daughter as evidence. In the end, the woman was convicted of murder and sent to prison. She was then beaten to death by other prisoners. Fortunately, Jesus gave her a chance to be reborn. She was brought back to the day her daughter fell to her death. Seeing her daughter appear before her, she was overwhelmed with emotion. She was afraid that her daughter might leave her again. But when she remembered the video evidence from her previous life, she immediately asked her daughter if she hated her. That's why she didn't want to go home after school. Her daughter denied it. She even said that her mom was the one she loved most. It was then that the woman realized her daughter had been forced to make the video. However, someone had killed her daughter and framed her as the murderer. Just as she was speculating who the real killer might be, her husband came over and interrupted her thoughts. Looking at her husband's gentle and caring demeanor, the woman remembered their 20 years of a loving marriage. She didn't understand why her husband had accused her in her previous life. For this reason, she decided to secretly investigate the truth. After breakfast, her husband was going to take their daughter to school. The woman immediately called out to them. She said that today, she planned to take her daughter to school herself. While her daughter was changing clothes, she deliberately checked her daughter's arms and found no scars. But in the video from her previous life, her daughter was covered in bruises. She had originally thought her daughter had been abused at school, but after arriving at the school, she specifically asked her daughter about her situation at school. She learned that her daughter had not been bullied by anyone, and that she had a good relationship with both the teacher and her classmates. Hearing this, the woman was very surprised. She thought if the teacher was so responsible and upright, why did the teacher accuse her so publicly in her previous life? She suspected that the teacher might have seen the video. At this point, she couldn't help but ask the teacher if she would hurt her daughter. This question startled the teacher. Before the teacher could figure out how to respond, she was interrupted by the daughter. The daughter said that the teacher had always been very kind to her. Then, they entered the school together. At this moment, the woman became even more suspicious. After returning home, she immediately began investigating the teacher's background, because her daughter had left the house in a very good state. But 3 hours later, she was found with injuries all over her body, having fallen to her death. Her husband and the teacher had also been accusing her of abusing her daughter. When these pieces of information were put together, the woman felt that there was still a key piece of information missing. As time passed, the woman suddenly thought if her daughter was not the victim, the outcome might have been different. She hurriedly stood up and went to the school to stop her daughter. But as she grabbed her phone, she knocked over the family photo frame. Another photo hidden inside the frame was revealed. Looking at the intimate photo of her husband and the teacher, the woman seemed to have found the answer in her heart. She then instructed her assistant to investigate the relationship between her husband and the teacher. During this time, she was very anxious. Finally, 1 hour before her daughter's fall, her assistant called and said the investigation was complete. After seeing the result, she was stunned. She understood the reason why her daughter fell to her death.